This is House of Transport. My name is Jide Odioye, the Transport Master. You may join us as part of our Road Etiquette series. We welcome you. May I just remind us of the subject that we discussed in the previous episode, which is to do with road obstruction and how obstructing the road constitutes traffic issues for all of us in Lagos and probably even beyond as well. This episode, we shall be dwelling on the use of phones, gadgets, electronic gadgets whilst we're driving. The question we wanted to ask is, why do some individuals feel it's a God-given right, human rights, to use the phone whilst driving at any time? Why do they frown at the government enforcing the use of phones for them? Most of them will claim it's for emergency. They will claim how important it is to them. They have an appointment to keep. They're keeping up with their nannies. They want to know what is happening with the children in the school. There are lots of valid excuses from the driver. But the point remains, is it okay for someone to be distracted while you're driving, especially with the driving attitudes that we seem to embrace in this part of town? Should you not consider other road users that if you're not concentrating because you're busy texting or you're picking a phone where someone can be agitating on the other side, that could lead to an incident? Is it totally important that the message or whatever it is you want to do on the phone cannot wait? Can you not park and go and finish your conversation before you get back on the highway and drive? Is it because you don't really care, or you're just testing the enforcement officers to see whether they will catch you doing it? And it's so funny, you find some people that as soon as they see an enforcement officer, they now drop the phone on the floor, or they put it between their legs, which itself is uncomfortable. So if you know that what you're doing is okay, why are you throwing your phone away? Why are you hiding? Let us look at the repercussions of someone who is not concentrating while driving. Ideally, when you're driving, you're supposed to have your two hands on the steering wheel. That's what gives you total control. But once you've got a phone in your hand, which means you left with one hand, if an emergency should happen, you've got no control. In fact, at that split second, right, you're wondering whether you should react to what is happening on the road or you should drop the phone. God help you if you're using an expensive phone, because you'll not be worried that, oh, I cannot drop this phone on the floor. It's too expensive. Why can't you be considerate when you're on the road? How many minutes would it take for you to find a safe place to park and continue to use the phone? Whatever emergency there may be, it is better to tackle an emergency in a safe manner than create another emergency as a result of what you're doing. There are fines involved in case some people feel like it doesn't matter, they can do whatever. There are fines involved. When you're caught, you will pay the fine. So the use of phone is something that should be frowned upon. And I think we need to educate ourselves, because our parents seem to do it, especially our female folks, because they seem to have these issues of children and carers and all those things that happens. So we should even be trying not to teach our children that that's the right thing to do, because everything that we do as parents, as drivers, our children, unfortunately, they would copy those things. We certainly don't pray for anyone to be involved in an accident out of carelessness. It's just a phone. It's a means of communicating. Even if you have an angle of like, oh, you're using your phone for Google as Google Map to direct you. All over the place now, we see people selling gadgets to help you keep your phone so that it doesn't have to be in your hand. If it's from a security point of view, you're thinking, why don't you plan your journey from home? Lagos is not that big where you find yourself like on a highway that you're completely lost. At least by the time you get into an estate, you can afford to park and then find the rest of your way. So it's not a must that your phone must be on all of the time while you're driving and you're looking at it. It is so common to see people just even holding their phone up to their hands right now, listening to music. Why would they not be distracted? Even if you use the earphones, and some people would argue, oh, but I'm using hands-free, I'm using my earphones. Imagine you've plugged the earphones into your earbud ears and you're listening to loud music. If someone was to call your attention using a horn, to call your attention to something that could save your life, you wouldn't hear because you're busy jamming to music and you've locked your ear to the outside world. What people like me will suggest is that even if you're so desperate to listen to music and you need to use a earphone, it's much better to just put it in one ear and you leave another ear free, so that if there's an emergency, someone is honking, you can hear. But this blatant attitude of we don't care what happens on the road, whether there's an accident, we're not part of it, we don't know. It needs to change and it needs to stop. That's why we have all this series about, road etiquette, to sort of engage ourselves and scrutinize the little things that we do. We've said before in our previous episodes, traffic didn't just come out of heaven to come and land itself in Lagos. We have created it. And about time that we begin to see what part we need to play to make sure that we reduce it. So we have responsibility as motorists. The government has responsibility in terms of the infrastructure they put in place. And together we can make things happen. But if everyone is going on an individual level and I don't care attitude, the complaint about traffic in Lagos, which is a negativity for this city, will just continue. Because people are buying cars every day, attitude is not changing. So our purpose, right, is to engage the motoring public to look at these things and see that there are less costly things that we can do to make sure that traffic flows in this city. Please join us on our Road Etiquette series, where we shall be discussing the issue of on-street parking. Kindly subscribe to our social media platforms and we shall meet you up there.